My mission for this session is IT operations for a good night's sleep. I want to tell you and explain you how to get your IT operations in such a mature level that you can actually don't have to stay awake because your IT organization is not running like you want it to. And I want to show you with a lot of demos how... is there a lot of echo? Okay. So I want to show you with a lot of demos how to connect a few System Center products to automate your incident flows, monitor your line of business applications, and automate one of your top incidents. So the agenda for today will be, I'm going to show you what no sleep looks like, and I don't mean here in Vegas, but I mean when you're running your operations. I want to show you in Operation Manager how you go from object monitoring, infrastructure monitoring, to line of business application monitoring. So we're going to go through that demo. That will enable you to go from reactive to proactive monitoring. And next, I'm going to show you around Service Manager and how to connect Ops Manager and Service Manager together. So incidents that are generated in Ops Manager will get into Service Manager automatically. And next, we're going to go into Excel to analyze all the data we have in Operation Manager database to see what our top problem is and what we have to do to fix that. And last but not least, that one top problem we're going to solve by creating a runbook in Orchestrator. So we have a lot of ground to cover. The goals and objectives for me to you are that I really would like you to stop following incidents. Stop making an incident the most important thing in your organization. You have to mature in that. You have to make time to do other things than just run around incidents all day. You have to register and analyze the stuff you're doing in your organization, and you have to describe it step by step so you can do the next step, automation. Last but not least, you have to make it a process, because when you have done it 1 or 2 times, you actually have fixed one problem, but there always pop up new problems. So it needs to be part of your DNA. You need to make it a process in your IT organization that you follow those steps. Now let me introduce myself. I'm Walter Eikenboom. I'm from the Netherlands. I'm married. I have 2 kids. I work for Innovative, a small company in the Netherlands, only about 30 consultants, and we do mostly System Center stuff, and it's a great company to work for. We do a lot of cool private cloud projects. And my main objectives are not only looking at the technology, but being aware that you should look at more than just the technology, because when you don't align the people and the processes with the stuff you're doing, it's not going to work. And technology on its own is pretty cool, and I love that, but without that you're never going to make the goals you put for yourself. So what does no sleep look like? Every incident is the most important thing that you have in your organization. Every time a new incident come in place, your IT admin starts running and they just want to fix that problem. And when they're done, they have 5 minutes rest and the next big problem comes in. But that's not the way you want to run your IT organization. You want to know which incidents are coming, what you can expect, and what your problems in your organization will be. Now, one thing we hear a lot at our customers, that they have 1 or 2 really great admins, and I think a few of you are those admins. And when we only had few of those or 3 of those people, then everything would be fixed. But 9 out of 10 times, even that wouldn't be the solution, because there would be more changes with those people, and the incident will still keep coming in. You need to structure your IT to make it more mature. So before starting to automate things and do cool technical stuff, you need to be aware of the IT maturity of your IT organization. And Microsoft has a Core I/O model, and on Monday, Eduardo Kastner and Tiander Turpijn presented on the Core I/O and how to do a self-service assessment kind of thing. So I think if you want to know more about Core I/O, you have to look into there. But it's really important to know where you are in the scales of IT maturity. Core I/O can really help you make the decision which technology will leverage the most of your problems. So you can make a really good selection on what technology will help you the most in the first step. And so you can see what good technology to put in place in your organization. Now, a characteristic for basic is that you're just running behind incidents. When you look at standardized, you're doing more proactive monitoring, you have a bit of capacity management in place, and the next few steps, rationalized and dynamic, are far more matured, and a lot of organizations aren't even close to being there. So, dynamic, in my opinion, is the private cloud we now are all talking about, with a bit of chargeback and billing in there. One other pretty important thing, in my opinion, when running an IT organization is the processes. Microsoft has a Microsoft operating framework, and this framework can guide you in the roles you have within your IT organization to make sure which input and output they need to fulfill their part at the best. So you're all working in IT, and you know what you get and what you have to do with that. But I think it's pretty good to have a look in the Microsoft operating framework to see if I had more information, or if I had other kind of information, could my job do easier, or would it make my life easier on a day-to-day basis? It's a description from the business decision makers and IT admins and all different roles, so have a look in there. One of the parts is service monitoring and control, and that's where the real operations and incident management handling is. In this part of operation framework, in the service monitoring and control, that's where you define what you have to do to meet your service level agreements. And last but not least, enable your IT admins. 9 out of 10 times, processes are in place within your organization, and they're not helping you. They're only limiting your IT admin on responding quickly or fixing your problem fast. So you need to be aware of that your processes should be support for what your IT is doing, and it should not be holding you back in fixing stuff or changing things. So you need to relook at that. And you need to start making time to automate stuff. Because that's one thing that's been forgotten a whole lot of times. You know which incidents come in most, you're always fixing the same stuff over and over again. And you never make time to learn a new product like Opalis and start automating the incidents that come out of Operation Manager and get into a Service Manager. So we're going to look at that later. Now, just a quick overview of the System Center 2012 capabilities. On the left-hand side, we got an application owner. The application owner has 2 portals available to her to do some self-service stuff. She can go to App Controller to deploy a business service. And she has Service Manager as a self-service portal. This self-service portal enables you to put in service requests in your Service Manager process and then connect it to Orchestrator so it can be automatically provisioned or put in place or put to work. Now, when you look at the middle piece, you see Orchestrator and Service Manager there. That's where the automation happens. And it's not only the technical automation. When you look at Service Manager is built for automating the process. So if you have notifications or if you have manual activities that needs to be fulfilled before a request is in place, you must automate it in there because there's a workflow inside Service Manager. It will send notifications when there's a work item for you, stuff like that. But in Orchestrator, it's all technical automation. Orchestrator is the connection to all your other System Center products. And Orchestrator will help you in a fairly easy manner to deploy stuff and to fix things without knowing all the scripting and all the coding in the world. Now, when we move over to the right-hand side a bit more, you see the other products that are in the System Center suite, like Virtual Machine Manager and Operation Manager, where we will dive into in a few minutes. Configuration Manager for deployment, and a Data Protection Manager to back up your workloads. Last but not least, I want to tell you a little thing about service level management, because at a lot of companies we see that they didn't really thought through their SLAs. And when you're monitoring stuff and you're looking at incident, you really want to know what you have to deliver to your business users. So for a service level agreement, you make an agreement to your business on how many nines your services will be for a specific line of business application. That's something most of us will have in place. Within that service level agreement, we need to know what the measurement is that we have to fulfill to actually show that we did what we promised them in their SLAs. So that's where service level objects come in. Service level objects are those measurements in your environment to show that your SLA actually was what you promised them. Now, and underneath your SLO needs to be your operational level agreement. An operational level agreement is the incentive of the operational team to fix the incidents on specific business services in a timely manner. So that needs to be in place, otherwise when you promise 4 nines and you look in the operating console once every 2 days and the service is down already 1 day, you will never fix that. So you need to be aware of how fast you have to respond to incidents. And the last one is the underpinning contracts, and that's one that's forgotten a lot of times. I was at a customer once, and that customer explained to me, when we have an incident and it comes in, we have a response time of, let's say, 4 hours. Within those 4 hours, we need to fix that incident. Otherwise, we're running out of our SLA. Now, so far, so good. But then they had a strange request. Can you put a hold button on that incident timer? Because when it's a hardware failure for the service, the hardware vendor will deliver the disk within 24 hours. So they agreed on a service level agreement that needs to be in place in 4 hours, and their underpinning contract is 24 hours. So how can you promise your business owners, the people you're working for, that you will fix something within 4 hours if you even can, you can create the hard disk yourself. So it's something you need to be aware of, and that can be in services, in cloud services, in hardware, and things like that. So this is really important when you're doing, making that agreement. Now let's get into Operation Manager. I hope I have the right button. 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry. First going to show you some slides of Operation Manager. Who's been working with Operation Manager already? Oh, that's quite a few. That's good. Okay. So then this is quite familiar to you. Are you all running, who's running Server 2012 Operation Manager already? Oh, that's nice. As you can see here, this is the Operation Manager 2012 infrastructure. What I'm showing here is 4 management servers, and I've split them into separate resource pools. Why did I do that? That was something that wasn't able in Operation Manager 2007, but in 2012 we can split up a group of servers into a resource pool. So we have a dedicated pool of capacity to monitor our agents or our network switches. So when something goes wrong within this environment, it will just fail over to the other, and it will stay in the same resource pool. Now what we have is an Operation Manager database with the short-term data and the configuration data, and we have the Ops Manager data warehouse. And in that data warehouse is where you get your reports. So what we want to achieve, what I want to achieve during this session and during my demo in Operation Manager, I want to go from infrastructure monitoring at the bottom level, just monitoring objects, monitoring a server OS, a network switch, or a database, and I want to move it up to a line of business application monitoring. I want to know what's happening in my application, and I want to know what my end user is experiencing, because that's what I agree on in my service level agreement. So I'm going to show you that in Operation Manager. And some of the new things in SP1 are more DevOps integration to facilitate when you're building your in-house application with .NET and Java. The cloud monitoring tool, so I think in the keynote you all heard they have Global Service Monitor available. And Global Service Monitor gives you the additional capacity to don't look from inside in to your data center, but from outside in. So your end user perspective is is changed from just showing the availability of your service inside your data center from outside into your data center. But there are some new management packs and new abilities for some synthetic transaction, and I will show you how to go through one of the wizards in a few moments. Okay, application performance monitoring. Something that was new in Operation Manager 2012, and it's been more advanced in the SP1 version, is application performance monitoring. Application performance monitoring is an additional layer between the end user and your application. With APM, you can look inside the code and you can see which transactions are happening. And you can see that on the server side, but you can also see what the client response side is. We all have seen a web shop that we logged into. We're navigating to a web shop and you see a strange .NET error. When you do normal monitoring, you only see that you don't have availability on that web server. You don't see what the actual problem is. Now, when you're using APM, you can actually see what the error message was. And it will put it in perspective of the other objects in your line of business application. So this will really help you and your developers know what goes on in your environment. Now, really cool stuff there is that you can actually see how long a SQL query has been running, how long it took to load an image, and stuff like that. So that's really, really powerful stuff. Now, just short overview of Global Service Monitor. Now, Global Service Monitor, as I already mentioned, is the outside-in perspective. And Global Service Monitor enables you to do the web tests on your .NET application, and you can make it a part of application performance monitoring. So that's as close as you can get to a real end user hitting your web store or hitting your site. So it's really cool and really powerful. Now, if you want to know more, you can sign up for a 90-day free trial, and all slides are available on the MMS site, so you can download this and click the links, go through there. There's an installation guide, and where you have to sign up to try it for 90 days. And I believe a lot of the licensing at this point, Global Service Monitor for Service Manager and Ops Manager is included. Thinking line of business. Let's go over to the demo. It had to think for a few seconds there. Okay. Now, a lot of people are already using Operation Manager, so let's do a quick tour, and then we go in, dive into building a line of business application monitoring from all the separate objects. As you can see here, we got an alert view, and in this alert view, we can see what actually is happening in our environment. We got criticals and warnings, and the critical are the actual downtime things, and the warnings are the things that 9 out of 10 times I call it proactive alerts. These are the things that are happening in my environment, but not actually causing any downtime. But when you're not going to fix them, they will end up in downtime. So you need to be aware of those alerts. Here we got the state view from all the objects. So as you can see, I have the computer name in the middle. And if we have internet problems, that's no problem. Everything is locally running here, so that's a good thing. On the other hand, it's just a laptop with a full System Center installation, so hopefully it's fast enough. As you can see, this is everything I've running on my laptop now. And you can see all the health states. And those health states are actual states. So if something changed, they will go to red or they go to a warning state. And if it's fixed in the background or the service has restarted, they will go back to green for most of the states. Now, in this overview, you can see I have an IIS 8 role installed on this server. The Windows operating system server 2012 is running here, and we have some SQL IIS 7 and server 2008. So you can make quite a good overview of the single infrastructure components in your organization. So let me go into Global Service Monitor, view test state, and you can see from which perspectives I'm looking at, which I can look at my application. Global Service Monitor is a connection between your Ops Manager infrastructure and the Azure Cloud, Microsoft's Azure Cloud. So you can select, I believe it's 16 or 18 nodes, I believe it's 16 Azure nodes to use as the outside watcher nodes to look at your application. So you can get a pretty good overview from which parts of the world your website is really good accessible and which part of the world is having slow performance or slow responses. So real powerful there. And when I select one of these and I say Summary Dashboard, then it will open up the map of the world and it will show me all the locations with the health states and the responses there. So when I select one, I should be able to see in the test status below what the response times have been for that website. Or, no, it's not helping me there, so let's try another one for a second. Summary Dashboard. Now, hopefully it will pop up now. It's the same experience as I showed you in the slide. The same dots from object monitoring will appear in there, and it will be given on the correct location on the world map. There they are. As you can see, near Amsterdam, the response time of this service is 11.9 seconds, so that's a bit slow, I guess. But and when you go to the US, it's 3.35. So, and when you're configuring Global Service Monitor, you can give those values in there. So what's the value that you want to use? 9 out of 10 times, when a user don't have their application within 3 seconds, they will start complaining because I want to go somewhere else because it took too long. So now let us go into building some monitoring for our line of business application. When you have a look in the authoring pane of Operation Manager, there are a lot of management packs and monitoring wizards. You can start this wizard to perform a specific task. You can just monitor a port. There's always some kind of service you use from a third-party vendor that you don't have any control of, but you want to know if it's available because you're getting data from that port. Then you can start a port monitor to make sure that your service provider is actually delivering the stuff you requested. And so there's an Azure application wizard and there is an application transaction wizard. And that's the one we will be creating now. Now first let me show you what we're going to monitor. I have a social media application. It's called Talking Heads. And it's a real cool application. It's something that's a Facebook lookalike. Not really, but it's the same thing. I can log into there and add friends to my account, and then I can read their blog post and they can read my blog post. So we have some kind of a community thing going on in this application. And this is the application that This is the application I want to monitor because this is my core business of my organization. That's me, Walter Eikenboom. And now if I look at my status, it's a full working application, everything's there. I don't have a lot of friends though, but hey, that's my problem. And we're going to search and let me find some new friends. There are a lot of friends in there, so okay, I want to become a friend with this person. And I send a friend request, so okay. It's all working. Let me sign out. So this is the application I want to monitor. Now the application that looks like a database on a server 2008. It's got a middle tier and a .NET application tier, and it's got a web front end. So those things I want to put in place to monitor my line of business application. And that's what I'm building in the Operation Manager now. So going into the Windows Application Transaction Monitor, clicking Next. I'm calling it Talking Head MMS. And I create a new management pack. Okay, sorry. MMS, there it is. I click next and I click create. A management pack is just a bunch of XML that will contain all the configuration that I put in there. So until now it's still empty. And when in a few seconds I click finish, I want to save my monitoring wizard in that XML. So just to know the context behind the management pack. And I want to monitor the web application. So let me get into there. Okay. I just want to monitor the root, so that's not a problem. I do a small test. And that will take a few seconds. What it will do now, from the server I'm logged into, it will go to the web page, and it will look what the HTTP response code is with the DNS resolution times. So as you can see here, HTTP response code is 200. You can see how fast the DNS responded and how the total response time of my application is. Now let's go to the next one. This is the part where you select your watcher node. And the watcher node is the perspective from where you look at your web application. Now, as we talked about GSM a little bit, GSM is outside your data center, but these are the operation manager agents inside your data center. So if you have a server standing next to the web application, that should be pretty good performance when you're monitoring. But you can also select an agent in one of your other data centers, so you know you have connectivity between different geolocations. I will select the ops manager, and I will keep it at 2 minutes. For the demo purposes, it needs to kick off in a few seconds. And I'm hitting create. Okay, we're there. Now let me create a distributed application. I know the servers already have an agent, and the database is already in monitoring. That's the infrastructure and a part of the application layer. And now I've created an end user experience. Okay. Yes, there it is. I was waiting on the right mouse click, sorry for that. MMS, that will be the line of business application that I'm creating, and it's all a wizard again. I click blank because I want to create all the components and object groups myself. And here's the complete set of management packs that I've created myself. Now, as you can see here, the MMS, this is the one I'm going to create. So it's all in the same management pack. So then it's easy to export and import when I want to use it for any other purpose. Okay. Now I'm going to make component groups. And with those component groups, I'm going to create relationships between different objects. The first group I'm creating is the server group. And I'm going to logical objects. Okay, already passed the operating system. Oh, there it is, sorry for that. Operating system, Windows operating system, and it's a Windows Server operating system. So I'm creating a group for the Windows Server operating system. I'm creating a new components group for the database. And when I look at the database, logical entry, application component, and we have database, and it's a SQL database. It's a SQL 2008 database, but it's still a SQL database. Add component groups, a website. So that's the last part I'm going to put into my line of business application. That's an application component. Oh, no, it's a perspective. Let me go down to perspective. Here I go. So now I have 3 simple groups. One is the server, one is the website, and one is the database. So I'm looking for the talking head application, and there it is. I'm putting it in the website. If I want to put it somewhere else, it's not possible. That's why I selected those group. It's just a database component group, so I cannot put any other objects inside of there. So here are all my databases showing that I can make a selection of. And again, I'm looking for the Talking Heads database. Yes, there it is. And finally, I'm looking at the server. And I know it's the portal server. So here we go. Now I want to create the relationships between those objects because I know this depends on there and this is hosted on that. And that's how simple it is. So you're just making component groups. You have to know your application structure, of course. That's the first thing you have to know. But a lot of time, that information is in the head of a lot of people. Which components do I have here? And this is a real simple example, of course. But you can start by building it this simple and start expanding it with all the services and all the .NET stuff you're monitoring with APM, the things you are seeing with Global Service Monitor, and put it all inside the same distributed line of business application. So this is a real good starting point for that. So it's all saved. Okay, there it is already. Let me go into there and let me view the diagram. And this could take up a few minutes. Because all components are already discovered, they're infrastructure components and they're added to the groups. And now Operation Manager has to recalculate what the health state of the complete application is. So hopefully it will do that in a few seconds. As you can see, all the components we have included in the application already underneath there, and now it has to recalculate the health state of the group and have to put it in the higher hierarchy. Now, one of the really cool things you can do with this is you can export it to a Visio, and this Visio is live information. So I put this on the desktop. I call this MMS 2012 LOB. And when I go to the desktop, I have a Visio file here. I have to couple it to local because I don't have Visio installed on the server. That's a bit small. Let us zoom in. Now you right away got a Visio layout of your complete application. And if you have the Ops Manager connector tools installed and configured, you can get actual health state dashboards in this simple kind of Visio manner. So this is pretty cool to just put on a display in the hall of the application owner group so they can see what the actual health state of the organization is. You can even simply save it to SharePoint to have a live dashboard there. My last step in this demo will be that I will be exporting. And maybe the application is already there. There it is. It's a full, healthy application that we just created with an end-user perspective of the web service and the database. Now let's get it out over there. Now what I'm doing, I'm going to the administration pane and I'm going to the management packs. And I just created this one and I'm going to export it. The cool thing about connecting Ops Manager and Service Manager is that you can actually sync business services. So now I have created the line of business application, and this line of business application is available in Ops Manager. And when I want to have it in my Configuration Manager database, I have to write it down and put it in there. Now what they've done, they created a connector. So when I copy this XML over to Service Manager and I import it in there, I have the automatic connection between those CIs. So the health state of the objects, the objects of the line of business application will be available in Service Manager. So you have an automated business service sync. And that's really powerful because that's normally is that manual labor in your system management tooling. Okay, it's there. So now let's go into Service Manager for a second. who is already using Service Manager in their environment? Okay, nice, quite a few, great. The power of Service Manager is, in my opinion, there are a lot of cool features in Service Manager that you can read are really good to use, like the connectors and stuff, but one of the most powerful things in there is the CMDB. The CMDB is the collection of all the information you have in your IT organization, and it's put in there to create your configuration items. So when you have a problem, you can find them in your configuration item database to use them in incidents or changes. When you see everything that's connected in there is a bit of automation. You can hook up Orchestrator to automate tasks with the CIs you have in the CMDB. And on the front end, you have the self-service capabilities of the self-service portal that will hook into the service request unit you have. And that's available in Service Manager. And you have a portal to see what the status of your own incidents is when you log into there. And you have all the possibilities of email notifications and incident registration through email. So what does the Service Manager integration connector framework look like? In the middle is Service Manager. And you can make it connected to Orchestrator, and that's not a CMDB connector, that's more an automation connector. The other one is a configuration manager to get in all the software that's in your environment and all the hardware stuff that you're running in your IT store. Next, virtual machine manager. You have created cloud, you have created resources pools, you have consumption of IT over there, and you want to map it to business users. So you want to know who's consuming what, and you want to do some chargeback and billing. So that's why you're getting that information in your CMDB from virtual machine manager. And last but not least, operation manager. And operation manager has the privilege of having two connectors. One is for incidents. So when an alert is risen in Ops Manager, it is connected to Service Manager and it's registered there as an incident. And it has a CI connector. So when you're monitoring servers and they have a database on top of there, the Operation Manager CI connector will provide that information to your CMDB. And on the right-hand side, of course, Active Directory information. You want to know which user is working on a specific machine. You want to register an incident on a specific user, and you want to send that specific user an email. So that's why you have your users and your computer objects from Active Directory in your CMDB as well. Okay, let us go into Service Manager for... Here we go. Yeah, perfect. Okay, this is Service Manager, and I've opened the all open incident view. And as you can see, all the incidents that are created there are automatically created. That's not something you can see on site, but I didn't put it in manually all the time. So this is the connection between Ops Manager and Service Manager. So we have the same thing for Service Manager, for changes. This is where the change objects are created. And changes is slightly different from, I think, a normal change process because it's all split up within activities. And those activities are actual tasks for people, person, or automation. So I think that's really powerful because then together you will go through a change and deliver the change in the end instead of just giving the piece of paper to somebody else and, hi, take care, I will see it back when you're done. Now you got the same for problem management, release management, and service request fulfillment. And service request fulfillment is used in the automating part. You can relate the self-service request to standard changes. When you have a bunch of standard changes in your environment, and every time you get a standard change, you will perform X, A, Z, and A, B, C. Now you can start automating that with Orchestrator and with Service Manager, and this will be part of the self-service request fulfillment. Okay, let's go in the Configuration Manager database. Of course, all the normal objects are there that came in from Active Directory, like the computers I was showing you in Ops Manager. But I did something additionally. I imported the SQL management pack into Service Manager. So Service Manager and Ops Manager are built on the base framework foundation. So when you have a management pack on the Ops Manager side that's discovering objects and monitoring objects, you can put them in the CMDB as well. So if you want to register incidents on, for instance, a database instance, you can synchronize them by importing the management pack and synchronizing this. Okay. But what I want to achieve now is the automated incident routing. Because every time an automated incident comes in, and 9 out of 10 times there are more automated incidents than people who call for an incident. So you need to have a way to manage that on a fashionable manner. So I have an operation manager alert connector. And I want to show you what it looks like. You just give it a name. You click it on enable. You give in the server name. And you have created a run as account that has the correct permissions in operation manager. And you click test. Then you provide it with a password. And you click up OK. And within a few seconds, within a few seconds it will pop up that the test is OK and it could connect the database. And underneath there, you see alert routing rules. And there's none of them there. So I'm going to create a template now and put it into place there. So the SQL team will get its own SQL alerts and get notified when there is a SQL incident. This was successful. Okay. So now I go to the library, and in the library are all the lists and all the templates. I do a right click and I create a template. And this will be the template for the SQL team. And I have to select the class, and it's an incident template, so I'm using incident. And I'm clicking on save. Now it's opening the form, and I can pre-populate this form with all the things I want. I can give descriptions, impact, urgency, but all those information is coming out of the incident in Ops Manager as well. So I'm not filling out anything because that's done automatically. The one thing I will do is select SQL team here. So when we have an incident view specific for the SQL team, and when they go in there, all their SQL incidents will be available there. So that's pretty powerful, and that will, it's a one-time creation, and then you're done. Saves you a lot of time. So I'm saving that now, and now I have to add it to the CI connectors to the Service Manager. Okay, administration. I clicked on connectors, you just have to wait a few seconds. Alert connector. And I'm going to create the specific rule. I'm going to click add. So this is the SQL rule. Here's where I can select the template. So if I can create another template, I can populate it here as well. And I can put in multiple templates because we have a Windows OS team, we have a SQL team, we have an ASP.NET team, something like that. And here I can define what the criteria are. And there are a lot of possible criteria. You can even select a specific field with a specific name if you have done some manual configuration. But in my case, it's just everything that's... If SQL's in there, I want it to be assigned to that team. So I click on OK. And I click OK. Now it's saved. So every incident that is registered in Service Manager now that came from the SQL management pack will be assigned to the SQL team right away. Okay. Let's go back into some slides. Now that we've seen how we can connect Operation Manager and Service Manager, let's look at how we can analyze some data. And I will go through this very quickly because of the time limitation, because this is something that you can talk. There are people that can talk hours about this thing and how it works, but let me go through it quickly. On the left-hand side, we have the Operation Manager database, the Service Manager database, and the Configuration Manager database. And 9 out of 10 times we want a report that it's a combination of those information things. So Service Manager has a data warehouse, and we want to import these data into the data warehouse. So the first thing we do is an extract to the staging and config database. Next, it will be transformed in another way to make it more better suitable for the data mart. And the last step is that all the data will be loading in separate data mart instances. So that's the ETL job that's fulfilled in the data warehouse of Service Manager. Travis Wright has published this picture on internet a few weeks ago, and with a thorough description on what it does and what it is. So look it up on the TechNet blogs. I'm sure you will find it if you Google on the Service Manager Data Warehouse Visio. But the last, but one of the most important parts here is on the right-hand side, on the top, is the processes. There is a cube. You can create your own SQL query and get all the data from the data marts into that cube. So when you want to run a report, you can just use Excel or publish it to SharePoint. So that's real powerful. Now this is an example of a SharePoint dashboard. You create an Excel, right-click, save, send to SharePoint, and it's available there. And it's live data because it's querying the cube you just created. Now when you want to do some analysis yourselves, because you know you have a lot of data and you don't want to publish everything, you just want to get a bunch of data in there and want to have a look at it, because how are we performing, what can we do better, and sometimes strange combination of data can give you a completely new insight of running things differently. So the Excel Power Pivot option is really powerful and really cool. So, and one thing that we always say to customers, start analyzing your data. Start making a report, one single report with your top 3 critical alerts, top 3 warnings, top 3 servers with errors. When you fix those things, 9 out of 10 companies will fix 60% of their top incidents and their top problems. So this is a really powerful rule of thumb. Keep this in mind the next time you're requesting reports, you're making reports. Get this data out of your Operation Manager database and your Service Manager instances to simply see what this will do for you if you will start fixing this stuff. And I want to show you how that works with Excel. So we're going to switch to the demo again. Ah, there it is. So I already opened up Excel, and I've enabled the Power Pivot. Okay, so now we're in the Power Pivot screen, and I'm going to select to a data source, a SQL server. Now the server name is Ops Manager, and I've created an SA to log in because it's a non-domain joined computer. And I'm doing a test. Oh, okay, it's successful. So now I can see which database I have available, and I'm selecting the Ops Manager database in my case. And I don't want to create tables myself, I just want to use a query I've predefined. So this is a query that will just get all the alerts from the past alert views. Let me go there. Copy. It's a pretty simple query, so no strange things there. Now I do a validation against the database to know for sure that it actually can find all the objects I'm wanting in my view, and I click Finish. It found 1,200 rows, so okay, it's a lot of data. Okay, now it's there. So what can I do with this? Now I'm selecting all, and I want to make a pivot chart, but I want to know which computer is bugging me the most and which incident is messing up my environment. So I'm creating a new worksheet there, making it really big. And here are all the rows and the tables that I have available. So I'm going to use the monitoring object path and the full name. And I'm going to put it in value so it can calculate how many alerts are there from one server. And you look in here, it's a portal server. That's one of the servers with the most problems, so more than 1,000. So when I fix this problem, I fix the top 1 priority in my organization at this point, because this is my noisiest thing in my organization. But I want to know what the actual thing is, what is happening on the environment. So I'm selecting name, and I think it's a bit too small to view, but here it said that it's the IIS problem. And I, as an IT admin, know then every time there is a new release out, 9 out of 10 times when something goes wrong, I have to restart EES or start the W3 SVC service. So with this analysis and the background knowledge I have of my application, I know when I fix that, I will fix a lot of downtime, because now when it goes down, we hear about it a day later and end users start calling. But when we use Orchestrator to automate this stuff, it's back up before the end users even noticed. And it has to be fixed in the next release. So for the next few months, let us do Orchestrator. Let Orchestrator do the stuff instead of me myself in the middle of the night with getting an application, a message. Okay, let's get back into the slides. Let's close out this one. So we analyzed our data with Excel. And now I want to go into Orchestrator. Who's using Orchestrator already in their environment? Who has already hooked it up to Service Manager? Okay, great. We're not going to do anything with that hookup to Service Manager, but that's more something I would really like to know. Okay, automation to drive business needs. Automation is not only a technical thing. You want to do it because your service level agreements must be met, and you have made an agreement with your boss that you will be delivering these services for X amount hours a day with no downtime. So you want to automate stuff that can help you make that SLA as good, as tight as you can make it. So you can let it help in release management, when you have to deploy large packages or updates or hotfixes, stuff like that. So so you can pre-test it and run a script, and Orchestrator will do the deployment of all those updates for you. So that's really powerful stuff. And last but not least, and that's the part where I'm looking into, that's the proactive and reactive operations. When something happens in your environment, you want the incident in Service Manager, because for analysis, they know that something happened, but you want Orchestrator to fix it for you. 9 out of 10 times you do the same 3 steps, always the same three steps on a web server. So that's what you want to automate. And when that's not the problem, the ticket needs to be escalated to a second tier, to somebody that has enough knowledge to really look into the application and not only know about the incident. So what does Orchestrator look like? It's a bunch of activities, and it's a Visio kind of way of automating Orchestrator, automating technology. You've got a Visio block, and behind that is a lot of code, and that code will connect up to Operation Manager or Service Manager, and it will fulfill a task. So a bunch of these tasks connected all together is called a runbook. And the runbook is something you can initialize and kick off to do it automated stuff for you. Now in the middle, all the lines we are creating between the different activities, that's a data bus. All data that's on the data bus can be reused. So if I get some information out of Ops Manager, the second step is get some information out of Service Manager, get information from a database, and in the fourth step, I need to create something. And I need information from all those 3 pieces. That's where I use the data bus. I can just subscribe to one of the objects and put the data into there. And I will show you that in a second. Now, as you can see, yesterday around noon, there was a great session by Justin Incarnato about Orchestrator and all the new stuff in SP1. So make sure you have a look at that if you're interested in Orchestrator. You can really see what the power and the capabilities of the new SP1 version are. And the standard activities, there are a lot of new integration packs, as they called, that can help you automate a bunch of things. So this is how Service Manager and Orchestrator relate again. It's very good to know that Service Manager is for process automating and for service management perspectives and goals and notifications. And Orchestrator is the part where we automate our technical stuff. So this is our scripting engine. We can put PowerShell scripts in there, .NET scripts in there, every kind of scripts we can put in there. And there are a lot of those activities available by default for your convenience to just drag and drop and click to easy automate stuff. Okay, let's go into building a runbook. I'm moving over to Orchestrator, and I go into the MMS folder, and I select New, and I'm going to select a new runbook. And let's call it Fix Line of Business. Oh, sorry. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, there we are. The Orchestrator console. Here we go. I'm selecting the MMS folder. And I'm doing a right click and saying New, and I want to create a new runbook. I want to rename this runbook, and I want to call it Fix Line of Business App Now. All capitals. Okay. So I've saved it, and the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure Orchestrator checks if Ops Manager does something every 30 seconds. And for the demo, it takes 30 seconds, but you should take a realistic value in your environment, of course. Then I go to the Ops Manager integration pack, and you see all the activities that are available here. Everything on the right side are the standard activities that are available after creating an integration pack. It's something like a management pack for Ops Manager. Ops Manager uses management packs to get intelligence into Ops Manager for monitoring. Orchestrator uses integration packs to import activities and standard activities to use in their runbooks. And one thing you need to be aware of, that if you have imported that, you still need to configure it. So you go to Options, select Operation Manager, and you have to make a connection to your infrastructure. So if you would have multiple Operation Manager infrastructures, you can connect different Ops Manager infrastructures to the same runbook. Okay, let me show here. Click Test Connection, and now I have to wait for a few seconds. And then it will pop up again, and it will say my connection is okay. So what it does now, it tests if the connection is available, and when I'm creating my runbook and I'm selecting this connection, it will get the properties I have in my Operation Manager environment. So that's real powerful, because when I want to know what the resolution state of an object is, I can just select it, and I can say, create this object or make it that object. And that's from a drop-down list because it's available there. So I can't make up my own stuff, because that will break it. Okay. So I had my monitoring tile there, and I'm going to do a get alert. And I'm connecting them. This arrow is the service bus we were talking about. So here I have to select my connection. I click. Oh, I did the wrong one. Wow. I need a get alert, not a create alert. Get alert. I need to open up the connection. First thing I want to know for sure is that a ticket is created. So you can pass through the information right away, but I want to make sure it's registered in Service Manager already, and that connection is in place by the CI connector by the alert connector we've seen earlier. And now I want to know sure before Orchestrator picks up this incident, it needs to be, yeah. The next thing I want to filter on, because I don't want all alerts to get into this runbook, is the severity. I only want critical alerts. Okay. The next thing is I want a resolution state. I don't want the old alerts. And here's the list that's available in Ops Manager. I just want the new alerts. And I want a specific name. And that must contain IIS 7. IIS7 website. And I'm hoping I'm not making a typo, otherwise it's an IM. Very good. Okay. Here you go. Finish. Now I want to update the alert, because when somebody sees the alert coming in into Service Manager, they're just going to troubleshoot right away. And I don't want that to happen, so I'm going to update the alert that it's pending. So let me subscribe to data from the databus. I did a mouse click, subscribe, publish data. And I'm using the alert ID here, so it's for references. So in future steps, I know which ID I've used and which ID I have to update. And I want to change the resolution state of the alert. And I want to change it to scheduled, because Orchestrator is working on the alert right now as we're speaking, so the alert needs to be updated. Next, what I'm going to do is I want to run a program to fix my problem. Yeah, here we go. So I want to execute I want to subscribe to some data again, publish data, and I'm selecting one of the activities that is in front of this connection, and I want to use the NetBIOS computer name. NetBIOS computer name, here it is. So if an alert pops up and it has a computer name in it, it will populate this in this field in this script. So that's really okay. Windows System 32 net.exe. I want to do a net start of the web services, so that's what I'm doing here. I've selected the net.exe. The parameters are start w3svc, and this must be my working directory. So I click finish. Now, when this is done and this is fixed, I want to update my alert again. Here I go, update alert. And again, I have to make the connection to my Operation Manager backend. I have to subscribe to my alert ID, and I will select the get alert again. So I'm getting the data from my databus, and I have to select fields to update the resolution state. So I'm doing the same over and over again. So when you're building runbooks, you can just do the same thing, and this will do the automating for you. So when it's successfully, I select close, and that's done. But it also can happen that it's not successful, and there's a possibility that it failed. So then I want to escalate my ticket. So I'm select update. I'm connecting both activities, and I'm making sure that if it goes wrong, an engineer will actually see this ticket and will do something about it. So here I go, do the same ID, select field, resolution state, select OK. I want to escalate it to a second tier engineer, so I've selected that. But how do you know what happened? So I can click the link, and in the link there's the intelligence that he sees when a task is successful or when a task has failed. So I'm using the successful in this case because this one is closing my incident. I'm making it green just so it's easier to know what's going on, and I go into this link as well. And here I select failed instead of success. And now when the script doesn't go okay, it will just escalate the incident in Operation Manager and automatically will synchronize that to Service Manager as well. So my initial troubleshooting is done in this place. Now there are a lot of more options here. You can send emails and stuff, platform event, write it to log files. And there are a lot of things possible, but this is the scenario I'm using now. So I'm checking this one in. And I start it. So now it's looking if one of the events will pop up and if it can fix something. Now I'm going into Operation Manager now. And we have the website here. It's still there. I did a F5 and it's still available. I'm connected to the portal server, to the computer management, and I'm going to stop the World Wide Web service. I select F5 and it will be gone. So I'm going to look in Operation Manager to see if an alert is created. Let's go into monitoring. Let's go into alert state because that's where Orchestrator is looking for. Oh, and the first events are coming in already, but these are not the events I've defined in my runbook, so we have to wait till the actual IIS7 event will pass by. Will take up to 2 minutes max, because that's the interval we defined in building the web application monitoring part. And then we have to wait another 30 to 40 seconds to make it a ticket in Service Manager. So as you can see on your right-hand side, there are the ticket IDs. So if you have an alert in Ops Manager and you have the connection to the Service Manager backend, you can always see what the related incident ticket is. So that's real powerful when you want to have more information on who's been working on it or what has happened with it. Okay, there it is. My event is there. IS7 website is unavailable. And within a few seconds, the ticket ID registration from Service Manager will pop in there. The firsts are already coming in there. The connector is scheduled to do every 30 seconds to do the update between the alerts. So it will never take really longer time than that. And even more alerts are coming in because the service dropped. Always a long minute when you're waiting for something like this. And I'm thinking if I fill out the right phrase in the orchestrator runbook. Come on, let's show up. There they are. So now orchestrator will be picking up the incident. And let us move over to the orchestrator side to see if something's happening. And it's running every 30 seconds, so looking at the time, it will be running about now, hopefully. And now I'm curious if I defined the right, and there is an is between this. Let's put finish. I have to stop it. Okay, that's a stupid mistake. Let's do edit. Put is in between there. Click OK, click finish. Okay, did it fix it? Yeah, it's okay. I'm going to check it in again. I'm going to press run. Empty the history. And within a few seconds, I'm sure they will pop up the same message again, and now we'll pick up the incident, and it will restart the web service. Now let's quickly look into one of the other runbooks. This is the same runbook, only it will do a few additional steps. So you can really make it as complex as you want, because a lot of times an IIS reset for a website is enough. And you can just get the dynamic data from outside, from the ticket into the runbook. And when that doesn't fix your problem, you can just start a service if the service is out. And the next step, when something failed, is to restart the service. Normally, when you dive into the web application, these are the first three things you do. So why should you do it manually all over and over again? If you can make a runbook that will just do the same thing and will escalate this for you. Okay, this is apparently not doing what it's supposed to do. Oh, it did. Nice. Let us go to the web server, Operation Manager side. Here we go. Press F5. There are always scary waits if it actually will come up again. So here it happened. Thank you. Okay, let's go back to some slides again for the last few seconds. So what I already told you, make this a process. Make sure you analyze your monitoring. You monitor your stuff, business service style. You look at the stuff is coming out of your monitoring to analyze it and make sure you make time and reservations to automate it. So now again, the goal and objectives again. So stop following those incidents, start registering, describe your task step by step, because your second-tier engineers and your first-tier engineers can fulfill your tasks, and when that works, start automating it and make it part of your DNA. Here you can fill out your evaluations, so feel free and be welcome. And you can access all content online, so if you want to have the slides for the links that were in there, you're happy to download them from there. Thank you very much and have a great conference.